Hi everyone, it's Neil at CreativeHot. In this session, I'm going to be introducing you to an amazing little robot called Ozobot. And Ozobot is a brilliantly simple way to bring coding and STEAM into the classroom. That's wherever you are, whether that be at home or at school. And as well as being hugely cross-curricular for coding and STEAM and a whole lot more, it's also brilliant for helping to build those 21st century learning skills that are going to help prepare our pupils for the future. So that's skills like problem solving, creativity, communication, and collaboration. And as you'll see for yourselves shortly, it's of course a lot of fun, making use of hands-on learning to help keep our pupils engaged and inspired. Okay, so in terms of how you can actually code and control Ozobot, I'll show you this live on video shortly, but I'll just explain this first of all. It's really unique in giving you two different ways in which you can code. Now, the first one is completely screen-free and is programming by using color code, okay? This means we actually draw lines with colors within them, which creates that code to get Ozobot to do what we want them to do. And that's great for true hands-on exploration of coding, and of course does help to limit screen time, which does provide benefits in itself. But after that, we can then also use block-based programming to control Ozobot. So this is called Ozoblockly and works in a similar way to a lot of other block-based programming that you might be familiar with, and you can use that on an app, on a tablet, or on a laptop or desktop as well. But I'll show you both of those in action shortly. But before we do, I think it's also really important to let you know about the support that you have on all of this. So you've also got access to the Ozobot Classroom, which basically gives you everything that you are going to need to help you use this with your children and pupils in the classroom. It's completely free of charge and contains some great tools like the Bot Camp, which is basically just a little boot camp type guide, which takes you through all the basics that you're going to need to know on how to use and control the robot. And then you also have full lesson plans, which are suitable really for any ages between 5 and 18. You can filter through the lessons by age and curriculum focus. The only thing to be aware of is that currently the ages are stated just in the US grade system. So for those of us in the UK, we might just need to do a little bit of working out on which is the correct age for us to filter by. But it is brilliant. You've got all of these materials at hand to help you start using the Ozobot in lots of different ways. Okay, so now we're going to get to the proper fun part of taking a look at the Ozobot in action. So I'm just going to change my view slightly back to the camera, and let's make sure you can see this okay. All right, so the version of the Ozobot that I'm going to be working with today in this is the Ozobot EDU entry kit. Now, there are a couple of different variations or versions of the Ozobot, which I will come back to later on. But the Evo is basically the most up-to-date version of Ozobot, and I'll talk you through exactly what you've got to work with even now. So just going to open this up and put that to one side for a moment. But here is the main start now. So this is our little friend Ozobot. So this is the robot which we can control. In terms of charging this, you also get a simple USB cable. So that is how we charge it. In terms of battery life, it takes around about up to an hour to fully charge it, and then depending on how you're using Ozobot and what you're doing, you would get generally around about 60 minutes of using time with it as well. Okay, so that's the robot. I'll come back to that in a second. You've also, of course, got your color marker pens. Let's change the view slightly. So our different color marker pens for creating the code itself. I will be coming to that, back to those again shortly as well. And then you've also got the printed version of the Bot Camp. So I mentioned this briefly before, but in this particular set, you get a printed version, which again is great for helping you work through those starter activities to get used to how we can use and control Ozobot. So going back to the robot itself, to talk through the sensors you've got to work with, on the bottom here, you've basically got a color sensor and line sensor. So that's what we use also to get it to follow the code that we're creating with those different color marker pens. You've also got proximity sensors on the front of the robot, so it can sense and react to something being in front of it. You've also got LED lights on the front and top of Ozobot, which you can control for certain activities. And then there is also a speaker, so we can actually get Ozobot to speak and make lots of weird and wonderful sounds for us as part of different activities. And then to actually turn the robot on and off, you've got the power button just on the side of the Ozobot there. Okay, so that is the robot itself. We'll obviously see that in action in a moment. But to do that, what I'm actually going to use is a template from the bot camp itself. This is a great way to demonstrate, first of all, how this works. So hopefully you should still be able to see this okay. So what I've got here within the bot camp is basically a template that we can use. And you can see it's a pattern of black lines which Ozobot can follow using that line sensor. But then within each of the three main lines, you should be able to see that we've basically got different color combinations which will get Ozobot to do different things. So let's turn Ozobot on and we'll start to see this in action. So it's going to place Ozobot on one of those black lines, turn it on, and very quickly you should start to pick up that black line and start to follow, as we can see here. So now that first color combination, the blue, red, blue, you can see that's caused Ozobot to do a U-turn. The next one's heading towards now is our speed up program. So you can see it did cause Ozobot to start going a little bit quicker. Now he's gone back to that U-turn color combination, and now we're heading back towards the bottom one, which you can see now is getting Ozobot to slow down. What I also want to show you is if I put my hand in front of Ozobot, you can see now it's using that proximity sensor to stop. And I was going to go and speed up again a little bit further, and I'll stop again if I put my hand in front of it. So hopefully that straight away start to demonstrate how Ozobot works, how it can follow the black lines, how it will do different actions when it goes over different color combinations. So with the ones we were working with here were blue, black, blue to speed up, blue, red, blue to turn around and go the other way, and then red, black, red to slow it down. And of course, we saw that proximity sensor in action there as well. Now, I will show you a couple of different programs in a moment, but I think a great one to show you at this point as well is this sheet here. So this is brilliant for just giving you a general overview of all the different color code combinations and that we can put together with those marker pens to get Ozobot to do different things. And they're in different types. So we can control the speed of Ozobot, the direction, we can get them to do special moves like tornado, zigzag, spin. We've got timers which we can build into the code, and exits. So there's lots of different ways which we can code it with those pens, but it's great you've got tools like this, of course, to use as a reference point for those different types of coding. But that's just templates that we've been using so far. So I do want to start, of course, giving you an idea of how we actually do this for ourselves. So I'm going to quickly bring in just a blank sheet of paper. And I'm going to start off with a really basic code, okay? So I'm just going to create a black line like so. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Nice and straight line. And then what I'm going to do is use my blue and the green to basically get Ozobot to do a U-turn at the end of each line. So I didn't mean blue and green, I meant blue and red. So I can do that like this. Just create a little square with my blue and then a little square with my red. Okay, so that's one done. And the same at the other end. So again, blue square and here red square. Okay, there we go. And I'm also going to just extend those lines a little bit so Cubo can see what is beyond that if needed. But now I've basically got a straight line for for Ozobot to follow and do a U-turn at each end. So I'm just going to demonstrate this in action. So let's again turn Ozobot on. Ozobot's going to start following this once they wake up. So we're just nice and easily following that straight line. Once it gets to that code, U-turn back the other way, all the way along the other part of the line to U-turn again and starts going back the other way. Okay, so hopefully you can see again, really simple to start creating a code and getting Ozobot to move. Now, that in itself maybe isn't the most interesting code, just a straight line going backwards and forwards, U-turn at the ends. But I just want to show you how you can start to get a little bit more creative with Ozobot as well and do something different. Now, what I want you to imagine is I can actually take this code that I've created here, maybe cut to the paper here and here. So I've actually got a fairly thin strip of code to work with and bring that together in a loop like this. So on the inside of the paper, I've got the code. Okay, so I hope that's making sense. What I'm going to do at this point is take this away and again in blue Peter Stout, bring in one that I've made earlier. So hopefully you can see within this paper, that is that same code I was working with, okay? So I've got the full line within the middle of the circle of paper, but on each end here, I've got that blue and red color code combination to get Ozobot to do a U-turn. Okay, so hopefully you'll see where I'm going with this. What I'm doing off the screen at the moment, I've also got the app for Ozobot open on a tablet, because what I need to do to demonstrate this properly is actually turn off the proximity sensor, okay? And you'll see why in a moment. So just bear with me. I'm just doing this as quickly as I can off the screen. Don't worry, if you ever do want to do this kind of activity for yourself and know how to do this process, again, there are guides and activities on exactly how to do this. So I'm just connecting to my Ozobot now, and next stage is going to be creating the different control, which is basically going to be turning off those proximity sensors. Just needs to get it connected. There we go. Okay, connecting again just now. And there's basically an option within the app which you can use to change Ozobot to classroom mode. Okay, so that is basically going to enable us to do activities like this within the classroom, and that is now applied. There we go. Okay, so now I've got the Ozobot set to that slightly different mode. So now we can basically use this so that we don't use a proximity sensor. So remember when I was putting my hand in front of the Ozobot before, it was stopping Ozobot. So you can imagine if I'm going to put Ozobot into this circle of paper now, it might use that proximity sensor to sense the edge of the paper and stop. But we don't want that to happen. So what we're basically doing here is using a little bit of design and engineering and creativity to create this wheel which Ozobot can push and move along. So I'm just going to put Ozobot in the center of this. Now, turn Ozobot on, and hopefully next we should get Ozobot picking up that circle, like so. So hopefully you can see Ozobot moving along and moving that circle, doing that U-turn for us again, and pushing it. So we've basically created almost like a hamster wheel type of function here, which I think is really cool. A lot of fun in itself just to see Ozobots being able to do something like that. But to explain where the curriculum relevance or skills relevance might be coming into this as well. If you imagine, we could actually use this disc of paper to display all sorts of different things. It might be that we create something like the water cycle, okay? So we can actually draw the water cycle maybe around this and help to bring that to life by using Ozobot at the same time. Or it might just be a simple thing like creating a clock around the outside of it. Lots of different ways you can do that, but I think that's a great example of how you can do a few different things with Ozobot in a really quick and simple way. So hopefully that is starting to make sense how we use Ozobot. Okay, so that is the color coding type of control. Now, I did mention before the Ozo block list. I do want to very quickly show you what I'm talking about with that. And that looks like this. So it is, again, really simple icon-based drag and drop style programming. Hopefully you can see on the left-hand side here, there's basically different levels, okay? So 1 through to 5. So I'm on stage 2 begin at the moment. And you can see I've got these different palettes of blocks to work with. Now, if I click on the different numbers, 3 to intermediate, 4 to advanced, you can see that I'm starting to get more palettes of blocks to work with, and go all the way up to master. But going back to that first one, number 2, if you are familiar with block-based programming, I'm sure this will be very familiar to you, but just to really quickly demonstrate, I've got these different palettes of block types, and I can basically start to build up a sequence of code with these blocks. So I've got some for movements here. I can also control the LED lights in different ways, so I might be able to set them to different types of colors. Timing, I can get Ozobot to wait before moving on to a different part of the code. I can also use things like sounds, so different types of sounds. I get them to speak, and just click and drag that onto place. And I can also do things like putting that into a loop, so getting Ozobot to repeat that that sequence of blocks forever or for so much time, again depending on the activity or program that I'm carrying out. So that's just some of the basic program blocks. Again, you've got a lot more blocks you can use and work with within these sections as well. And again, while I'm just doing a really quick demonstration of this, you've got lots of support in the Ozobot classroom, which will guide you through all of this as well. But hopefully, again, that just gives you an idea of those 2 different ways in which we can code and use Ozobot. Now, before we do finish our session, of course, I do need to talk you through about the different options and the pricing for these. Now, the great thing about Ozobot is that there are really affordable options on this for use either in the classroom or at home. Now, again, that one that I've just been using in the webinar today is the Ozobot Evo. So that's the second option you can see on the screen in front of you here now. That's priced at £69 excluding VAT. It is also possible to get a different version of the Ozobot, and that's the Ozobot Bit. So that's the version on the top of the screen at the moment. That's priced at £39 excluding VAT. And the main difference is being that with the Bit, you don't have the proximity sensor to work with. You don't have as many LEDs to control, and you don't have the speaker, but you can still use the Bit to do most of all the color coding activities we were looking at, and of course use the Blockly programming as well. So there's still a lot you can do with the Bits. It's just that the Evo is a lot more up to date and got those additional features and benefits. So again, hopefully that all makes sense. So we are starting to come towards the end of the webinar now. I hope you have enjoyed this and found it useful. The last thing I just want to say is that after this, if you do have any questions whatsoever, please always feel free to get in touch with us at Creative Hut. You can see our email just on the screen here, info@creative-hut.com. If you want to look at the Ozobot resources in more detail, you can find those on our website, which is on the screen here as well. And there's lots more of these demos, tutorials that we're going to be doing after today as well. So look out for those on our website and our social media channels, and we'll hopefully see you online soon. If you do want to obviously speak to us, you can get in touch with us and speak to us via phone, and we'll actually also be happy to set up some more live webinars if you want to see more things in action and ask us questions directly. Okay, so thank you very much again for joining. We'll hopefully speak to you again very soon. Thank you very much. Bye for now.